Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Chapter Conclave podcast. I am joined today by Alex, Clone, and a special guest, Roaring Bear. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, you gotta be you gotta be intelligible. So please, regular voice. Thank you very much. Anyways, on to our first subject: new Custodes models, which I don't really think anyone. I mean, they're cool and all, but they're so expensive, and it's like I don't care because they're too expensive for me to care about. Honestly, like they look cool,
also,
but that's about it. Go ahead, Alex.
I would say they also look a little strange for Custodes models. I get a bit of a kick from them, just their design.
It is a deviation from the rest of them, but I think in part that is because they are assault models instead of like regular fucking tanky motherfuckers. But that, what is the price tag on one of them? Like one of the sets of, wasn't it 3? Does anyone have that on hand? Because I know
I'm checking.
Yeah, the detachment, I remember for the fucking Australian people, it's like $739 for like 20.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's really expensive, but that's Australian dollars. I think it's 400 and something US. It's terrible. That's the
All right,
Dear God.
I found it. Are you ready for this?
Please.
It's $62.
For the 3.
Yes.
What the
Oh my.
How much?
God, what the?
So $62.
$62 for 3 models.
And
Oh my-
so yeah, that's
$60 for 3 of them?
Yeah, so I didn't mention it
Well,
before, but
How big are they though? Like
They're-
what size?
dude, they're not that big. They're basic models. And so I didn't mention this earlier, but Bear is completely new. He has like virtually no idea what 40K is. So this is all first impressions, and that's kind of the objective, because
First impression, they have overpriced merchandise.
that's not even. So Games Workshop.
Well, you nailed it there.
Yeah, but Games Workshop owns 40K. I don't know if they own Forge World or if they're like separate entities, but this used to be an independent company that was making this. I don't know if they still are, but you can buy 10 models from Games Workshop for the same price. Like, that's just really bad, and I don't understand why it's that jacked, because I know they ship from England, which is why it's higher than it is over there, but 60 fucking, like, what was it, 63? Is that what you said?
62.
Oh, 62. But, yeah, no, that's just fucking insane. For 3 models, I would fucking rather shoot myself in the head than pay that, to be honest with you. But
That's about the price of a Predator.
yeah, no, that's more than a Predator. That's way more
Well,
than
the thing
a Predator.
is, for $60, you could just buy a completely different freaking game.
Yeah, you really could.
You could buy like the newest AAA title for $60.
Like,
So, for me, that would be a hard choice. You know, like,
no.
do I get these freaking cool figurines, or do I get another game
No.
that I might not like?
Dude, it's an easy choice. You get the game because it's not worth it. Like, that is not worth it. I will pay $60 if it gets me 10, but if it gets me 3, I'd rather just fucking walk out of the store and laugh. But thankfully, GW's prices aren't that fucking high yet. That'd be insane. But Alex, do you know how much the detachment is in US dollars?
One moment.
Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, Bear, these prices are terrible. Oh, and Zeno has just joined us. How's it going, Zeno?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, epic. We're just talking about the new Custodes models and how terribly priced they are, so didn't really miss much. But
Hold on, I almost.
yeah, don't worry, take your time. But yeah.
So
Go ahead.
So a squad of 3 is $62.
Yep.
A wing, which is like 3 squads, I'm guessing,
So
is
many.
$166.
160.
And-
Oh my god.
And the Venatari detachment is $498.
Oh
This
my
is all in US.
How many is in the detachment? Is
To
it,
be fair, it is cheaper to get the wing than it is to buy one single squad.
the detachment comes with the most, and you would save the most money, but at the
The
same time,
detachment comes with 27 models.
yeah, why the fuck would you spend 400 and however many dollars on that shit? That is
About
not worth it.
500.
Yeah, that's not worth it, to be honest with you. It's just so much fucking money.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and I like the Custodes models, and I think these look pretty decent as well, but they're not worth that price tag. If they lower them by half, maybe, but that is a huge fucking price tag, and I mean, honestly, most people who play Custodes spend a lot of money anyways, so they're probably fine. But if you just start out and you like Custodes, you're fucked. You can't play an army with them. It's just too expensive.
Oh wait, you need those to play the actual game.
Yeah,
like
man.
The tabletop game.
Yeah.
What?
So you don't need those specifically. There are a lot of different armies you can choose from, and there are a lot of ones that are a lot cheaper. Like the original set I bought, Alex, which is a guardsman set, was like $25 for 10. Oop, Jesus Christ. But
That's terrible.
yeah, it's pretty bad, and it can get a lot worse. Like the box sets are typically the best because they're not super expensive and they come with a decent amount of stuff. But the bigger box sets are more expensive, but they do also come with more stuff. Like the starter sets are good if you want to just.
Well, I
start.
mean, I
about
guess
those
if you're really
Battleforge
serious about like any tabletop game, like
Mhm.
D&D or Magic the Gathering. I know Magic the Gathering is a card game, but
Yeah.
you know the same logic applies. If you're really
Well, I
invested
mean,
in it, most people who are fans of that type of thing usually do wind up spending a lot of money on it. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
to someone, I could definitely see that being a justifiable cost.
Yeah, but the thing is, and this is the gripe I've always had with GW, is like everything is so fucking expensive, like way overpriced. And I understand partially jacking it up for import reasons because yeah, you got to ship it and stuff, but paying $60 for 10 plastic figures is a bit of a fucking ripoff. I think.
Oh, let me tell you, I went to a games store that sells like
Mhm.
D&D figurines.
Yeah.
They literally had like a 2.5-inch tall plastic, like an archer, right?
Yeah.
It was $10.
Yeah. No, it's
For
ridiculous.
For one.
It's
I'm like,
fucking.
good God,
Yeah.
you have to spend a fortune to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to
Dude. So.
if you wanted to be one of those cool people who have like the entire, they can build like the whole freaking town out of like 3D printed,
yeah.
it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. So, for me, I have 3 armies, 2 of which are relatively small, and the other one is fair. Well, they're decent sized, but I've probably spent upwards of like $500 or $600.
Yeah.
That is over that's over 5 years, so it's more spread out. But
Well, I think any kind of collection like that is, when you look at the overall cost, it's going to be a lot. But then you look at, this month I spent $5, but over the span of like 20 years, so
yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
sure,
Yeah.
at the end, it's like the disgusting number. You're like, holy
Yeah.
crap, you spent like $10,000 on this, and you're like,
Mhm.
well, but it was really only like $5 a month, so
Yeah.
just over a long period of time.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about my games consoles. I have
Yeah, I
8
understand that.
games consoles and like almost 300 games.
Oh, Jesus.
And if I were to sell all of them for the price they were at retail, it would be several $1,000s. But that was over the course of, I think, almost like 14 years now that I've been
Mhm.
collecting games.
Yeah. No.
So-
It builds up.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it builds over time.
Yeah, moving on to our next subject. Boys and girls, they released a Sanguinius model. Holy fuck. I've only looked at it once, but from what I can tell, it looks really, really, really fucking good. What are you guys' first impressions on it? Honestly, I want to hear them.
Burger.
Yeah, fucking, for context,
Could
Brother
you mind
Alpha
sending
Busa.
a picture?
Yeah, so hang on, one sec. For context, Brother
Yeah.
Alpha Busa, who is an excellent 40k YouTuber, put a video out yesterday, and if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's so fucking funny. But let me just get the Forge World model up.
I got a picture of it.
Yeah, you got it.
Look at that
Oh,
beautiful
that's really cool.
Angel boy.
Yeah, he looks fucking badass, honestly. And I would say for me, besides Gilliman, he's definitely my favorite Primarch, 100%.
He looks
So
like he's
my
got Super
question
Saiyan.
is,
Mm.
with models like that, that are that highly detailed and colored and all of that,
Well, they don't come painted is the thing. None of them
Oh.
do. Yeah, none of them come painted.
Yeah,
I
no,
see.
you have to paint them all yourself. You have to buy the paints, which are also very expensive, and buy the paint brushes, which depending on what you get can be.
right? And then also depending on your skill as an artist.
Yeah.
So of course, not everyone's just gonna look that nice.
Yeah, and I can say
They're very highly detailed.
yeah, and I can say like
Are those the same ones that come in the
Bruh.
$60 set of 3?
no. That's
No.
that's a totally different thing. This one just came out. The other ones came out a few days ago. But just like for people who decide to paint at all, I think it's just this is a little bit off topic, but like I've been painting for like 5 years now, and if you keep doing it and you stick with it, you gradually just see yourself improving. Like the stuff I'm putting out right now is pretty decent compared to what I did like 4 years ago, which was awful. But that picture right there is one of the most fucking insanely well painted things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like that shit looks fucking good.
Yeah.
Like holy
Yeah.
fuck. Clone, you still have a Blood Angels army, or are you just a fan of Blood Angels? I can't remember.
No, I got Blood Angels army.
Are you gonna fucking buy that shit?
Probably.
Yeah. Do you have 30K or 40K? Because that's the only.
Well, I'm gonna paint it first as a display piece, but when I start playing 40 or 30K is when I'll start using.
Yeah, honestly, playing 30K is like, I do understand why people do it, but I would never spend like, besides if you buy like one of the Horus Heresy sets, which is what I did. I bought the Burning of Prospero. I would never put more money into that. I just really wanted the fucking Mark III models because they look really nice. But Alex, what do you think of the new Sanguinius model?
I like it. It looks really good. I think the only question is going to be what the price.
Yeah, the price tag is
going to be.
Because that's a pretty big fucking model. I think it'll probably be
pretty easily going for like $120.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's probably gonna be because the rest of them are around that area. Because I know the Alfarius model is 117, and that one also looks very nice. But I think this one's probably gonna go for around the same.
Man, I had the opportunity years ago. So I had this little game store in my town, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with the freaking Skyrim statue that came with like the pre-order edition.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna send it real quick. It's so cool. It came with the statue.
Real quick.
Yeah, here it is.
Real quick, Zeno, what do you think of the model?
That thing. Once that loads. That's the picture.
I believe it's a nice model, but I feel like the pose could have been better.
There we go.
I find
that's
the
what it
pose
looks
to
like.
be a bit awkward.
Really?
And that thing is freaking huge.
Oh, shit.
And
oh yeah,
what I
I
just
see.
sent there. I had a chance to buy one for $100, and I didn't have the cash, and I was so sad.
I feel
But
you on that.
that's what that makes me think of. It makes me think of like the pre-order bonuses in some games similar to that. They sell a lot of stuff like that, surprisingly, at places like GameStop, which I used to freaking hate GameStop, and I'm like, oh, well, sometimes they sell things pretty cheap.
Yeah. All right, so now we've
Sorry,
got.
that was a little off topic.
Yeah. No, you're fine. You're fine. Now we've got pretty much all of the new models that have came out of the way. The next subject is basically going to explain a little bit of the lore and just show some basic pictures of some of the stuff from 40K because Bear doesn't really know anything about it. So first, I'm going to start off with the best, which is the Ultramarines. Haha, not biased. But, so basically, the Ultramarines are, in the most simplest way I can explain it, space Romans. Literally,
Okay.
like, if you don't know anything else about them, or if you're not going to remember anything about them, just remember space Romans. So, basically, oh shit, you're right, I did forget Gene Stealers, but nobody cares about Gene Stealers, we'll do that at the end. But, basically, because I'm not interrupting this fucking bit. Space Romans, like literally space Romans, but so they look like this. Let me get a picture real quick.
Imagine the Smurf in power armor.
Shut the fuck up, clone, you goddamn fucking raspberry. That didn't post the picture. Hold up.
Oh wait, no, it pulled up the wiki.
Yeah,
I
just
guess
for,
I see it.
yeah. So basically,
That looks really cool, actually.
yeah, I know that's the Mark III set armor I was talking about earlier. It looks really nice.
He's
But,
not wrong. It does look like just blue power armor.
It is.
but,
Well, it is. It's
but
blue
with like
and
a
gold trim.
yeah.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
it's simplistic, which is part of the reason why I like it, and it's very nice. And that set of armor, it's like specifically that pattern is really cool. But
I still think Mark IV is better.
yeah. Well, guess what? Shut. Anyways, so the lore behind them is basically, well, there's a lot of lore behind them, but they are the 13th Legion out of basically 18. There were 2 legions that were destroyed, and it's implied. It's not. I don't know if it's implied, but it is sort of
Suggested.
It's suggested. It's also like a conspiracy theory in 40K that the 2 lost legions, which were the 11th and the 2nd, were basically destroyed, and the Primarchs, which are the leaders of the legions, were killed, and they were put into the 13th Legion because their numbers swelled so much at one point. So it's a weird like thing to talk about because nobody really knows, but it's just an interesting theory. But besides being space Romans, they were unfortunately taken on by one of the worst writers that Black Library, which is the book side of GW essentially, has ever had, which was Matt Ward. And he basically made them into Supreme Mary Sues, which is kind of why people don't like them. So, Matt Ward can
That's
fucking...
unfortunate.
Yeah, Matt Ward can fuck off and die, I'm not gonna lie.
That's the worst thing you can do to an interesting character is you make them perfect or you give them no flaws.
Yeah, and that
Ask about Kato Sicarius.
No, we're not talking about Kato Sicarius. You fucking get away from me. But essentially, oh yeah, by the way, I apologize if there's any background noise. There are brainlets in my fucking dorm, so especially on my floor, and they all fucking smoke weed. It's not okay. But anyways, yeah, no, that different story. But basically,
Accurate information.
basically, besides being space Romans, Alex, if you post that one more time, I'm just gonna ban you from the server. I'm sorry. Can't let you live like that. Can't have you posting Smurf pictures. That's unacceptable and very offensive. Anyways, but what is essentially their lore is that throughout the Great Crusade, which was like when all of the Space Marine legions were just fucking everything else up, it was basically humanity versus the galaxy. They conquered more planets than anyone else essentially, except for one other legion which barely beat them out, and the only reason they did that is because they had a head start. But they were the prodigal sons of Rebuke Gilliman, and if that sounds Roman, it is fucking Roman. So,
Robo Curly Man.
alright, Clone, can you shut the fuck up? We're trying to be serious. SMH. But he's basically Julius Caesar in space, and he's fucking cool as shit. And he comes back. We'll tell you about later on when we get to actual.
Okay, so these different legions actually are they against each other?
No, well, not yet. So,
Okay.
and I should have started with
Not
this,
yet.
but the Emperor of Man basically made all Space Marines. He started out with a different thing that we don't have time to get into. He also made Primarchs to lead them, and they were essentially his kids, and he was a terrible father, and he was basically the most powerful being to ever exist, and he was basically a living god, but he also didn't want to be a god because he was very against worship of just anything in general. He basically wanted to make the entire Imperium, which was his basically subjects, atheist. Alex, what do you mean 20 legions? There are 18.
You forgot to mention that there were 20 legions created with 20 pirates.
I already said that there were.
Yeah, we already went over that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier.
Yeah,
but,
you did. The
right.
two of them died. The 2nd and the 11th, I think, is.
Yes, that is correct. And so, so the Primarchs were basically, each Primarch represented a part of the Emperor. And using Gilliman as an example, he was the most logistical and a tactical genius. He was very short-sighted, though, and he did not always... He wasn't always the most flexible, but later on that changes, which is good because his character was kind of fucking rigid. But anyways, moving on, one of the other Primarchs, actually the favorite Primarch of the Emperor, is Horus, who led the Luna Wolves / Sons of Horus, if you want to use the fucking gay name. But essentially They were the best quote-unquote legion in the entire, just ever, pretty much. But they ended up, along with 8 other legions, betraying the Emperor in the Horus heresy. As you can tell, probably, that Horus was not a very nice guy. After that, he was a really cool dude before that, and then he just decided to be an emo edge boy because these 2 fucks from another legion, which nobody likes except for people. No, just really nobody likes the word bearers.
No one likes them except for the people that do.
Yeah,
and there aren't
which is
very
not-
many of them,
yeah,
so
there's
just no one
not.
likes them.
There's really not. But basically, the word bearers started worshiping chaos, which is essentially the enemy of man, even before it became like the official enemy of man, right? But like the Emperor had tried to suppress it, and he did a fairly good job of it, but they found out. They converted the entire word bearers legion and killed anyone who disagreed or tried to fucking rebel, and it was pretty bad. And then eventually the leader of the word bearers, Lorgar, turned Horus and 7 other Primarchs against the Emperor, and the biggest conflict in history broke out. And essentially, the Emperor didn't die, but he was put on the Golden Throne, and basically he's basically a potato. He can still like think and all that shit because he's the most powerful being in the universe, but he can't move. He can't do fucking anything really.
Oh.
And so Horus, Horus
He's
got
depicted as a corpse.
Yeah,
They
he's essentially a
they
corpse.
pulled a Master Chief on him.
No, because Master Chief comes back. Like the Emperor is just sitting in a fucking like chair for 10,000 years.
Here, I'll find a picture.
Yeah, and so Horus Horus evaporated pretty much. The traitors, which was the 9 legions, became Chaos Space Marines. They fled into what is called the Warp, which is essentially where chaos resides and all that fucking shit. Not getting too into depth on that lore, but so yeah,
Basically hell.
yeah, pretty much. It's basically space hell, and essentially for the next 10,000 years they've been fighting each other, along with a lot of other races. I think the most self-explanatory one is orcs. I don't really think I need to go into detail on them, but they're fucking hilarious, and they're one of my favorite races. They're really funny. They are really, really funny.
I have a bad joke and I really want to tell it now.
No, please, no. So that's the Emperor. Just look in the chat. That is the God Emperor of Man.
This is what he looks like
He's
now.
like a skeleton.
He is a skeleton. That's pretty much exactly what he is. He's been sitting in that chair.
Corpse Emperor.
Shut the fuck up, clone, before I punch you in the fucking face. I will shit fury down your fucking neck, clone. Basically, he's been sitting in that fucking throne for 10,000 years, man. And it's pretty unepic. But, like, a lot of shit happened in between then. Huge battles and shit. Basically, Primarchs died. And some were just fucking basically taken out of the fight. But also the legions, the Space Marine legions, were split up into chapters because Gilliman thought that no single person should ever have that much power again, which made sense at the time, but now is kind of it definitely is a smart move, but at the same time someone should be able to have a huge amount of power to defend the Imperium, right? Like, so it's a double-edged sword, essentially.
Yeah.
And
I would say a great comparison would be, it was a great idea at the time, but it doesn't really work anymore.
yeah,
in the
I think that's
It's
what
communism.
no, communism never worked. I'm sorry. We're not getting political.
We do not talk about the.
We're not talking about politics. Fuck off. But
It was a joke, man.
I know
Come
it's just a
on.
prank, bro. I know. But one of the other legions that I want your impressions on is the
Alright.
Death Guard, which is one of my least favorite. So just look at that picture and tell me what you think.
Anyone seen the movie Iron Man, like the first one?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, the suit that he made in the cave.
No,
Just
no,
imagine
because
that, but they're a decaying corpse.
Yeah.
They're a decaying zombie on the inside.
yeah, pretty much. They're literally like a zombie. And so the thing about the Death Guard is, so there are four Chaos Gods. Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, which we don't really talk about because fuck Slaanesh, and Tzeentch. So Nurgle is basically the god of disease, and he's basically space AIDS. Malal doesn't exist, Alex. Shut up about it. But
It will one day.
yeah, maybe one day. Yeah, the sons of Malal.
If we think about him hard,
Shut up, Alex.
This is what I thought of.
I know what you meant, but at the same time, like, the Death Guard are basically zombies underneath that. He is not. But, so, the god that they worship is Nurgle, the god of decay and death and disease. And so that's why they fucking look like bloated monstrosities. But
I see.
the funny thing about them is whenever they spread these diseases, they think they're doing a good thing. Like, they think they're bringing joy to people. So they're always fucking happy and cheery while doing this shit. It's, like, demented.
Europeans came over to the New World and like, hey, you guys ever heard of smallpox?
Oh
Nope.
my god.
There you go.
Stop!
Oh,
But-
come on, we can't even have a little fun here.
No, dude, we gotta get YouTube advertisements. But, essentially...
we wish we could get YouTube
Hey
advertisements.
man, it's
That'd
gonna
be cool.
happen, right? Shut. But
Yeah.
essentially, they're fucked. They're just literally like fucked. They have space aids, basically. So,
I love the
on.
analogy.
Yeah, moving on. The next of the Chaos Gods is Khorne. He's the god of blood and skulls and shit and war. But he's also probably my favorite Chaos God. He's also really fucking badass, and that is a World Eater. And as you can tell, they look pretty fucking edgy, but at the same time, they're really fucking cool. They prefer fucking smacking you in the face rather than shooting you from range. So, they will literally die just to hit someone with a fucking sword. Like, literally, that's the entire thing. You run at the enemy, and you just try and tear him to pieces. It's really funny to watch. Like, it's fucking ridiculous, but there have been some SFM videos, and, like, in video games, whenever you charge fucking World Eaters, or Berserkers, as they're called, at a line of, like, Space Marines, they just get fucked. They just get ripped apart. But... But yeah, so... Oh my god, fuck off with your bionicle shit.
He's comparing them to Bionic.
Stop.
It looks like the first Red Bionicle.
No, it does not.
Like I saw his face and I'm like, that is exactly.
Oh
his
my god.
freaking
Alright, we
same.
have to
That is
move.
so
We have to
funny.
keep moving. We have to keep moving. Alright, so...
Alright.
Yeah, no, we're trying to cut it short this time because I have work to do, so... The next one that I will tell you about is the Thousand Sons, which are actually really fucking cool as well. They're based off they're based off Egyptian. Like, each of these groups is based off a certain... Well, most of them are based off a certain thing. But,
Yeah.
So they worship the chaos god Tzeentch, which is the god of knowledge. And basically, what they did... They had a mutation before the Horus Heresy, and it was basically killing their entire legion. And what one of the sorcerers, Ahriman, did... basically cucked everyone who wasn't a psyker, which is basically a sorcerer. And so whoever wasn't a sorcerer, didn't have psychic energy inside, or like psychic powers, whatever the fuck, turned into dust and was basically reanimated inside of their armor. But everyone who did, or who was psychic, basically got saved. So he basically destroyed the Legion and saved everyone else. So it was like he destroyed half of it, or more than half, but he saved everyone else, which was pretty bad. But they look really fucking cool, and they have a blue and gold color scheme, which is very nice. And those are called Rubricae, which are probably my favorite models, to be honest with you. They look excellent. And so, yeah, that's the third Chaos God. I don't even know if we should talk about Slanesh, honestly. What do you guys think?
Yes.
You guys are fucking degenerates. I fucking hate all of you. Alright, hold on. So the Legion that the Emperor's children, they're basically fucking gay. Like, that's pretty much... That's not even... that's not even a joke. They actually are basically gay. Like,
Wait, what do you mean by that?
like, it's like a joke at this point, but I really wouldn't be surprised
They're like
if they put it in
all
more.
media free.
Alex, can you stop interrupting me, please? But basically, their scheme is disgusting. They're actually, like, they have tentacles and shit, like fucking hentai tentacles on their arms.
Oh, I freaking see it, I think.
Yeah, it's on the right arm.
I
But
I was looking at
that
models.
that is a
on-
Tyranid. That is a Tyranid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
Sorry, you
actually-
said tentacles, and I was like, oh, that thing has those.
No, that's a different species, which we will talk about in a little bit. Basically, yeah, that's the last Chaos God. for the sake of time, I'm gonna do this rather quickly. So,
Okay.
oh my lord, that scared me. Hold on, let me mute that real quick. That is my fucking email. I apologize, but yeah, this is so fucking, dude, this is so professional. But for the sake of time, we're going to go
It's
to
all
the
good.
Eldar next, which are basically just space elves. Like, there's not a ton to talk about. They're just space elves, and they have like super hyper advanced technology, and it's like, ooh, wow, they can shoot you really quickly, but they're not that, it doesn't do that damage, you know. And they're like, you could, if you're a space marine, you can rip apart an Eldar with one hand. Like, you could fucking squeeze them in half. Like, they're really weak. Like, the basic infantryman of the Imperium, which is an Imperial Guardsman, which is literally just a basic human in like flak armor, could fucking basically beat the shit out of an Eldar probably. The only thing they have is like speed advantage. They're really, really, really fucking fast. But oh my god, some fucking retard in my dorm is playing music in the hallway, and it's so loud because they have no fucking manners. Like, these people are the most inconsiderate fucks on the planet. I don't understand. But rant over, but like basically space elves. That's what you need to know. There's also an evil version of them, which is like like dark elves, which are fucking disgusting. We already went over orcs because it's self-explanatory. You don't really need to talk about. I think the next big one is Necrons, which are really fucking cool. They're like space Terminators, honestly. They're basically space skeletons that are also robots, and they look really scary. They're really fucking cool, and they will kill literally everything in existence. That's their one fucking job, is just to kill everything in existence. Literally nothing else. Like, we're not going to get into that lore because it's super convoluted and complicated, but they just want to kill everything, and it's really fucking cool. The next...
Terminators.
Yeah, essentially. And next race is Tyranids, which you posted a picture of earlier. They are not from this galaxy, they're from another galaxy entirely. And the only reason they came to this galaxy is to fucking eat everything. What they do is, when they consume something, they reproduce it into biomass for essentially a hive, and they make it into new Tyranids. And they adapt with any obstacle they face. It's terrifying. It's the most horrifying fucking enemy in 40k. Because if like, you're unprepared for a Tyranid attack, you're done. No chance. Like, you are fucked.
So the question:
Go ahead.
could you compare those to the
If you say the Flood.
flood?
Oh my god.
All right.
So you
Why?
could theoretically, except it's not a virus. The difference
Oh,
between
I
the
see.
Flood and the Tyranids is that the Tyranids are a race of beings that they don't infect. Well, yes they do, but it's not the same as the Flood. The Flood would completely take over the host and add it to a biomass. The Tyranid would infect the host, and then its children would be basically meta gene stealers, which are like these fucking weird human hybrid Tyranids, which we'll talk about later. But yeah,
Kind
no,
of like a xenomorph.
yeah, well, no, not really at all. But we'll show you some
Do they
pictures
lay
later.
eggs?
What? No, they don't lay eggs. They don't. I mean, as far as I know, but I don't think they do. But
Literally, are just xenomorphs.
yeah, no, they're really not. They're really not. But we'll show you
Alright,
pictures.
alright.
We'll show you pictures later. But the next one is fuck, the Tau. The fucking Tau, man. Like, they're basically space communist weeaboos, which sounds okay, and they have really fucking cool mechs. But guess what? They have
Space
virtually
communists.
yeah, no, they're space communist weeaboos. Like, their language is based off of Japanese, if I remember correctly. They have like a caste system which is more Indian, but they sound like they have Japanese accents in the video games. Like, they're definitely Asian, but and I'm not trying to be racist, but they sound Japanese. Like, I know Japanese people and they sound very similar, but
Fair enough.
they also have like space katanas, so how the fuck would they not be Japanese with space katanas? Like, there's a breakaway sect that actually uses melee weapons, which is like unheard of. But basically what the Tau does is they try and fucking obliterate you from as far away as they can, which is smart because they would lose less people. But at the same time, if someone walks up to you with a fucking like a pointy spear, you'd be dead. Like, if you're Tau and someone walks up to you with a fucking combat knife, you're done, because they don't have melee. They just like they really don't. They have like knives, barely, but they like that got added in recently, if I remember. But moving on, they're kind of a stain.
Oh my gosh, they look freaking cool.
What, Tau?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mech suits look fucking cool as shit.
Are they gigantic, like in those?
Yeah, the mech suits are huge. The actual Tau are not that big, but they do look cool. I'll give them that. They do look really cool.
I just freaking imagine it's like, you know, like these orcs and people just duking it out like in a battlefield, and all of a sudden freaking giant mech comes down.
Yeah, no, that happens. And I mean, they are one of the only races that actually sometimes cooperate with humanity because they are intelligent enough to understand when there's a bigger threat. It's basically them and the Eldar.
The enemy of my enemy is my
Yeah,
friend.
exactly. And it's like the Tau are more, well, I would say the Eldar are the most human-esque, and then the Tau are right after that because they actually look somewhat like if they were in a suit of armor, you wouldn't be able to tell that they weren't humans, besides the fact that you know it's Tau armor. But anyways, am I missing? Oh yeah, there's also, for Chaos, besides the Chaos Space Marines, there's also the Lost and the Damned, which is basically just regular people who decide to follow Chaos, or who were like servants of the fucking Space Marine legions that turned traitor. That's like not super important. They're basically just Chaos cultists. So they just worship Chaos. That's basically what that is. And they're also demons. Chaos demons. And some of them look really fucking cool. Some of them look absolutely fucking autistic. But
Nurglings.
yeah, no, pretty much everything besides Khorne, honestly. Like, I don't like any of the other demons besides the Khorne ones. Like, and I seriously hate everything having to do with Slaanesh. Like,
Was it nothing but titties?
yeah,
for
pretty
Slaanesh?
much. But and like, don't get me wrong, I like a good pair of titties, but like that shit's just fucking
Yeah, but
weird.
but Slaanesh is a technically kind of a guy.
Yeah, no, we're not
That's
gonna get
like-
into that because I don't want to fucking destroy Bear's like mind. But basically, demons are cool, and they're basically, it's hard to explain. I couldn't do it right now, but if like it's just it would take too long. But essentially, what is happening now is that this fucking dude, who was basically Horus's most favorite fucking son, called Abaddon, and if you know what that is from, yeah, you know he's a pretty bad guy. But I think his name is from the Bible, actually. I could be wrong on that since I'm not a goy,
know.
but I do believe it is from the Bible. But he is basically the leader of Chaos at this point, and the one world that basically held against all of Chaos for 10,000 years was destroyed, completely fucked. And the funny meme about it is that the world broke before the Guard did, because the Guard was still fighting on the remnants of the planet, and they literally just would have rather died than given up the fucking planet to Chaos, and they did. That's exactly what happened. The planet exploded before the Guard broke. And it's like a meme, but it's like rest in peace, Acadia, to be honest. Can we get an F in the chat, like everyone? But what is happening after that? Also, Gilliman had a fight with another Primarch who turned traitor. He got incapacitated, and he was basically pretty much stored away for 10,000 years until they finally found out how to resurrect him. They brought him back, and this guy called Bellas fucking something Cal, which we're gonna just call him Cal from now on, basically brought in a bunch of upgraded Space Marines and was like, haha, let's destroy all of Chaos. And so they went on a crusade to get back to the Terra, which is Earth, and they did. And he basically kicked another Primarch's ass, who was a traitor Primarch on the way, which was pretty epic. And so Gilliman is back. He's essentially leading the Imperium against Chaos, and they're in a really fucking bad spot. So they're kind of fucked right now. But yeah, I think for the most part that's a basic, just like extremely fucking bare bones, like with a few details that you would know if you play it. But
Yeah.
Clone or Alex, what you guys want to input anything?
I mean, there's a lot of other legions
there's a
of
lot
Space
of other
Marines
stuff,
that
but-
have cool lore.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I like the Imperial Fist
Mhm.
and the-
Gay, sure.
Yeah.
Shut up, you fucking Iron Warrior. Get away.
I like the Imperial Fist and the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard are my favorite at the moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore that we didn't get into just for the sake of time, but
Yeah.
there is a
My Blood
lot of...
Angels are Iron Warriors.
Yeah, we don't talk about the Iron Warriors.
The
We-
one
It takes a long
IQ
time
push
to
Robo versus
really,
the
like,
10,000 IQ.
Go in depth about anything. I mean,
Mm.
like, I don't know. Like, Kingdom Hearts 3 just came out, right?
Yeah.
And there are people who... There was a guy who literally had a friend come over who's played all the games and explained the plot for 7 hours.
Oh my god.
For 7 hours.
Oh
And it was
my
on a live stream. He live streamed it.
Bruh.
And
Excuse me.
it's like, good God, it took you 7 hours to explain, like... And it wasn't even that in-depth. It was,
Yeah,
like, you know...
basic.
Even still, there was more to go into.
Dude,
And it's freaking Kingdom Hearts. It's an absolute clusterfuck, but
Yeah.
that's beside...
for this, it would take days to fucking tell you all of the lore.
Yeah, it
Maybe
would take
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah, no, it would take a long time. Like,
But
there's
yeah, how long has this game been around?
So the tabletop game has been out since 90s, maybe late 80s, maybe mid 80s. I don't remember
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like early
There's
80s.
It's very well established. the
Yeah,
lore
no, it's been
that-
around for a
yeah.
while. The lore has changed, obviously, because stuff gets retconned, stuff gets added. But it's been around for a while, and there's so much lore. It would literally, probably, one-on-one, it would take weeks, if not months, to explain everything. And fuck, I don't fucking know everything. I've been looking at this shit for 5 years. Like,
Yeah.
there's still new stuff that they're coming out with, and it's fucking great. Like, I like GW because they're still coming out with new stuff, but it's still overpriced is the only thing. But, so I think the last thing we are going to talk about for now, besides, what do you think? Like, what do you like, what do you dislike so far? Bear.
I think it's really in depth,
Mm.
and they have a lot of different types of characters, which is interesting because it gives everyone their own options when
Yeah.
they decide to choose who to play as.
Definitely, there is a lot of stuff you can choose to
There's a lot of different factions.
Oh, yeah,
How many?
definitely.
Something like, I think we went over like at least 10.
There's a few that
Maybe
we're
more.
not that we didn't even mention as well, like
Yeah,
Mechanicus and
but I
Sisters
mean,
of Battle. So
There's more than that even. I'm
yeah,
sure.
there's a
There's
lot.
tons of factions, and then there's even
Yeah, and then there's like
faction.
sub factions within
Yeah,
those
exactly.
factions.
There's a lot of stuff,
So
but
it's kind of like music. Like,
Yeah.
say you don't like heavy metal, but then you like this one artist, and you know they're heavy metal, and you're like, oh, well, I guess there was someone that I liked who made that kind of music.
Yeah.
So
I-
it's, you know, even if you don't like it as a whole, you may like part of it,
Yeah.
you know, that you didn't realize. So it really does give you a ton of options when you are deciding to get into it.
Mhm.
And for people who are getting into it, there's so much there to dig into, that there's really just a lot to think about and to do and to decide between.
Yeah, man. And it's like, it's all, in my opinion, it's all good lore for the most part. Besides Matt Ward. Fuck you, Matt Ward, if you're listening, which you're probably not, but guy's a fucking asshole. But essentially, it's not hard to get into the lore. At least for me, it wasn't. It is more difficult to get into playing tabletop because it's so fucking expensive. And a lot of people just don't have the money to put it down, to put down for,
Yeah.
like,
What a lot of
building.
people will do is they'll play. What they'll do is they'll use things like a tabletop simulator, like that, and
Oh.
because people make models for it, so you can play for free, but it's not the actual game.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are ways around it, and there are like 3D prints that people put up. So it's like you can get a discount Space Marine if you really want. But yeah, I think
Yeah, if you have a freaking 3D.
yeah,
printer.
and I mean they're
Well,
not.
that, and they don't come out as good as quality as actual.
Yeah, of course not.
No, of course not.
But I think that's all we have, to be quite honest. But does anyone have anything else to say?
So it's not only a tabletop game, but it's also a video game.
Yes, there are a lot of
Is the
video games.
podcast limited to just the tabletop, or could we talk about the games themselves for a little while?
So there's nothing really to talk about with the games because they haven't come out with anything new for a decent amount of time.
All right.
So yeah, actually, There is one thing we could talk about, but I think I'm going to save that until I've actually played the game because I want to give my opinion on it.
Battlefleet.
Yeah, Battlefleet Gothic, and I will say, I'll just say this because I played the first one not too long after it came out, but I played it with a good friend of mine several times for the next year, and I enjoyed it very thoroughly. The only thing is, I wish that they included all of the factions like for free. The DLC was kind of a bit much, but
Oh, I got you.
yeah, so
They lock certain factions behind DLC. That's
yeah,
unfortunate.
and it's like it's not super expensive. It's like it depends on the faction, but it could be either upwards of $2 to like $5 or $6, but it doesn't really get more than that. But
Oh well, that's not so bad.
yeah, it's not terrible, and the game isn't
Yeah.
even $60 to be honest. So, or at least when I bought it, it wasn't. But I think that it was a very fun game, but it's definitely not for everyone. But I think it's a very enjoyable game. If that kind of stuff is your cup of tea, then definitely grab it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we'll talk about that next time. Does anyone else have?
We could always talk about the best Warhammer game, Dawn of War.
Well, yeah, but I mean, everyone knows about Dawn of War.
It's probably a different episode, isn't it?
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
we'll-
Unfortunately, we only have so much time. So
Yeah, and I got a paper to write. So, do you guys
Alright,
have
so,
anything else to talk about?
My really horrible, like, the way I would explain it would be, lots of factions, and it's similar to like the same type of game basically as something like D&D, but it's also like Star Wars.
No, it's not. It's not similar to D&D, and it's much.
Is it not?
No. So the way you play it is a lot different, and it's a lot more grimdark than Star Wars. Like I love Star Wars. It's like my favorite series, and besides.
Oh no,
Warhammer.
I was just trying to make you laugh, to be
Oh,
honest.
SMH. But it is similar in some ways, but in other ways it's completely different. But
Yep.
because I mean, Star
Alright.
Wars.
It sounds cool. It
Yeah,
sounds
man.
cool.
Check it out. But like, Star Wars was based off of World War II. This is not based off of World War II.
No, Star Wars was based off of medieval times.
No, it was not. Excuse me.
Yes, it was. The farmer goes off to slay the wizard in his tower
That's not what happened.
and save the princess.
You do realize that the Empire is based off of Nazi Germany.
Well, yeah, that part is, but I mean the story,
No.
the plot of the movie is pretty much.
Not
The
necessarily,
farmer
but that
meets
different.
the old
We're
knight
not
who
talking
then
about
helps
Star
him.
Wars. We're not talking about Star Wars. That's a different argument for off podcast. All right, Alex, Clone, you guys have anything to say?
Nope.
No. Nothing.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, you're welcome
Thanks for
back
having
on anytime you wish.
All right.
Epic. All right, I think that is going to do it here from us. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you gamers in the next one.